Everyone, can you hopefully you can hear me okay. Thanks for joining me. We're going to be talking about IRA maximization, wealth transfer strategies to enhance your legacy. Everyone is muted right now. At the end, I'll open it up for questions and I'll unmute everybody at that point in time. All right. Obviously, we have to have some disclaimers here, a little bit about taxation. The one thing I'll point out to start out with, I should say, is all these plans or processes we're going to talk about, I would highly encourage you to work with some type of a tax advisor going through these. If you're a CPA yourself, obviously you've got it covered, but there are some tax situations that you're going to need to be made aware of, and they're changing all the time. So I highly recommend working with a tax planner if you have clients that are looking for these types of options. Sorry, everyone, give me just a second. We're having some technical issues. Okay, thank everyone for your patience. We're back. Congratulations. Basically, this is one of the statements you always like to tell your clients. I want to congratulate them on saving for retirement. Obviously, they put in many years of hard work and planning and saving to work towards their retirement. This is designed for those clients that are fortunate enough to be in the position that they're not going to need their IRA to help supplement their retirement income. And it's an IRA that they've chosen to either pass on as an inheritance either to a spouse, a charitable organization, children, or even grandchildren. Now, the downside is if they choose to do that, by leaving the IRA to a loved one or charity, they could create a substantial inheritance for them. I guess that's a good thing, but can also become a big tax burden for them. The beneficiaries might immediately be responsible for estate or income taxes on the entire amount of the IRA. And depending on the beneficiary's tax bracket, the total reduction could be almost up to 70% potentially of the IRA value when you factor in income tax, potential estate tax, as well as state tax. If you combine those together, it could be upwards to 70%. And so, is your client willing to let the IRA value go to pay taxes? Do they want the benefit to benefit no one? Or do they want to have the legacy vanish before it even begins? And so, do they have a plan? Do they have a strategy? So what we're going to talk about today is what is IRA maximization, the 5 IRA maximization strategies, and then we'll wrap it up with questions and answers. So what is IRA maximization? Basically what it is, it's a wealth transfer strategy that allows you to transfer the value of an IRA in a more efficient tax manner. It also helps preserve or keep the value of an IRA when it's passed on to beneficiaries. So who can benefit from this? Obviously, individuals that don't need their IRA assets for retirement income, individuals more interested in transferring their assets and generating an income, or individuals who want to provide a legacy of lifetime income for their beneficiaries. So this is a strategy that's not designed, obviously, for everyone. It's a very select set of individuals that are financially in a position that they're not going to need these funds. So there's 5 different areas that we can work in: tax offset, tax elimination, legacy enhancement, multi-generational, and spousal Roth IRA. So first we're going to talk about the tax offset one. So we'll kind of start here and give us some foundation work. In the past, when you died, your beneficiary would receive the funds of your IRA. And the IRS would obviously take their share immediately. With a tax offset strategy, you help minimize that burden by helping leverage a life insurance policy to offset the projected amount of income taxes that would be due by the beneficiary. So we're going to kind of paint a hypothetical situation. John is the client. John's accumulated sufficient assets outside his IRA and has decided to pass it on to his son, James, as an inheritance, and making him the beneficiary of the IRA. John knows that James will be responsible for paying any taxes due on the inheritance, and he wants to implement a plan that will help his son fund the income tax owed to the IRS. So this is a situation where we'd use a tax offset strategy. So how does it work? The first thing we need to do is we need to determine what the projected value is of the IRA at a future point in time. We're going to use an age of 80, for example, moving forward in all these examples. Once we determine what the projected value is, we're going to need to determine we're going to need to estimate the income tax the beneficiary would owe when the IRA is inherited on that lump sum. Once that's determined, we're going to look into purchasing a life insurance policy to offset the amount of taxes the beneficiary would owe on that IRA. Purchase a life insurance using a portion of their RMD, required minimum distribution. And I'm going to point out all but one of these situations looks at the insured being 70 years or older and taking the required minimum distribution to purchase the life insurance. There's one exception, and we'll talk about that coming up. What the result is naming the IRA beneficiary as the insurance policy beneficiary. They'd use the proceeds to cover the cost of taxes on the inherited IRA. Obviously, life insurance death benefits pass benefit to the beneficiary tax-free. So this is just kind of an example. On the left, you've got John, who's the father, age 70. We base it on an survival age of 80. We have his son, James, 45. We also put him at a survival age to age 80. The IRA currently is sitting at a $500,000 balance. We used a 6% return and then a 28% income tax rate when that IRA is then transferred to James. So we have our projected IRA value is $577,208. 28%, or the income taxes due on that, are $161,619. And we purchase a life insurance policy for $161,619. As a result, James basically gets the full amount of the IRA, the $577,208. This is kind of a graphical person. You can kind of see here we have the $500,000 in the upper left. We've got the projected value going down at the $577,208, which goes to James. We're taking part of the required minimum distribution, the after-tax portion, and purchasing a life insurance policy of the $161,619. That would also go to James. So in the end, basically the life insurance is being used to cover the taxable cost on that. Next strategy we're going to look at is called the tax elimination strategy. It's for those with charitable interests who want to leave monetary assets to their heirs. It's designed to help eliminate the income tax on the death of the IRA owner by designating a charity as the IRA beneficiary. Qualified charitable organizations that are approved by the IRS are generally not liable for income taxes. In addition, the strategy pays for the policy on the IRA owner's life using his or her after-tax distributions from the IRA. We're going to use the same individuals, John and James. John wants to leave an inheritance to his son, but he also wants to leave something for his favorite charity. So we're going to talk a little bit about a situation how we can reduce that tax liability. Again, what we're going to do is we're going to determine the projected amount of the IRA. We're going to use the same basis on that, 80 years of age. We're going to purchase a life insurance policy equal to the amount of the projected IRA value. Obviously, as we said first, that John wants to leave his son James an inheritance, but he also wants to leave an inheritance to a charitable organization. What we're doing in this scenario is we're providing the full projected amount of the IRA, the $577,208, to the charity, which will pass tax-free to them. But we also want to provide the son, James, the same like amount to him. So in other words, $577,208. As a result, the charity receives the IRA tax-free, and the beneficiary of the life insurance policy receives the death proceeds tax-free. Again, very similar strategy. The only significant difference we're doing here is instead of just funding to cover the taxes, we're actually setting up a life insurance policy to cover the whole value of the projected value of the IRA. So the son gets the full amount as well as the charity gets the full amount. inheritance of $1,117,492. Obviously, there are going to be some taxes due on that IRA as well, but you can leverage the money she gets from the life insurance that's tax-free to help offset that. The fourth option we're going to look at is called multi-generational. It's for individuals who want to create a legacy that lasts for more than one generation. It's based on the fact that when an IRA is passed directly from an IRA owner to a grandchild, the tax deferral period allowed by the IRS is dramatically increased versus passing it on to the children and then to the grandchildren. So the best method of planning that can be done to create the longest generation or multi-generational program. So if you're looking to help your children and grandchildren, this is an effective strategy to use. So we're going to use John again. John has an IRA. He wants to use it as an inheritance. He wants to leave it to both his son and his grandchild. And he knows that making both of them beneficiaries on the IRA would lessen the value because of taxes and the amount being split among the two. So he's looking for a plan that can help leave a generous amount for both of them while also helping them with taxes and associated with inheriting the IRA. Again, what we're going to do is we're going to determine the projected value of the IRA at a point in the future when he might expect to transfer it, and we've been using age 80. We're going to purchase a life insurance policy using all or part of the required minimum distribution amount from the IRA to pay the premiums. We're going to name the child as the beneficiary on the death benefit. Remember, life insurance death benefits pass to a beneficiary income tax-free, so no income taxes are due on the life insurance proceeds. In regards to the IRA, we're going to name the grandchildren as the beneficiary of the IRA. This is going to have a much longer deferral and distribution period than if they inherited the IRA from their parents. They're only required to take a minimum distribution each year according to IRS rules on whether and how they can be stretched over multiple beneficiaries. They normally, if he left his, say, 2 grandchildren, we had one that's 17 and one that's 9, they're going to pick the highest age and use that as their basis. So the younger the child, the longer the stretch period is. The result of this is the child, the adult child, inherits a life insurance policy equal to the amount of the projected value of the IRA. And then the grandchildren inherit the IRA, and instead of paying taxes on the entire amount, they're able to continue the deferral over the rest of their life. So here's an example. We've got John again. He's age 70, projected out to age 80. We have James, who's 45, and we have his son Greg, who's 13. We're going to be taking part of that required minimum distribution, and we're going to be purchasing a life insurance policy in the amount of the projected value of the IRA, which is $577,200. IRA. And then we're going to purchase a life insurance policy on John, the owner of the IRA, with a face amount that approximates the amount of taxes that would be due to convert the traditional to a Roth IRA. It's done by using all or part of the required minimum distribution to pay the premiums. They can name their child or children as the beneficiaries on the death benefit if they choose, remembering life insurance passes tax-free. So here's the result. When the spouse inherits the IRA and the death benefit she uses, when the spouse inherits the IRA, the death benefit is used to pay the income taxes incurred when she converts it from a traditional to a Roth. After the conversion, the spouse can enjoy the tax advantages of no required minimum distributions and tax-free withdrawals after a 5-year period and tax-free transfers to heirs. Also, the heirs pay no income taxes on any distributions from the Roth IRA when it's inherited from their spouse. So we have here in our graphical example again, we've got John, age 70, Jane, his wife, 65. The IRA is currently at $500,000. It's going to be projected at $577,000. Taxes due to convert to a Roth IRA is $161,619. Purchase a life insurance policy in that amount. At John's passing, Jane inherits the IRA, pays the taxes due, and now is converted into a Roth IRA. As you can see, a lot of the steps in this process are very similar. That's why I suggest working with a tax advisor to try and determine what that taxable event would be, as well as possibly trying to determine what that future amount would be, unless you're comfortable working in that area. So this is just kind of a synopsis of the different options we looked at, the 5, the tax offset, the tax elimination, legacy enhancement, multi-generational, and spousal Roth IRA. It kind of shows who should be the beneficiary of what. On the tax offset, it can be child or grandchildren. For the IRA, on the life insurance, it can be child or grandchild. Tax elimination, that's the one we're dealing with, a charity. So the IRA is going to have the charity as the beneficiary. And then on the life insurance, it's going to be a child or grandchildren, and so on and so forth. The main difference is the one on the bottom with the spouse. We're going to be naming the spouse as the beneficiary on the IRA and the life insurance policy. Okay, I know I kind of went through it kind of quickly, and I apologize. We are going to have this put online. It probably should be up there midpoint next week. However, if any of you do want me to send you over a copy of the presentation, I would be more than willing to. Feel free to email me. My email is the letter J, the letter L, the letter I, N as in Nancy, N as in Nancy, at FB, as in financial brokerage, hyphen, INC, as in incorporated.com. And I'll be more than happy to send you over the presentation we walked through today. I'm going to go ahead and unmute it for any questions that you guys may have. If you don't have any questions and want to listen in, I ask that you please mute your line for us so we don't get any background noise. All righty. Questions, anyone? Did you guys hear me okay? Okay. Anyone have any questions at this point? All righty. Well, thanks everyone for attending today. Sorry about the technical issues started early on. As I said, if you'd like a copy of this presentation, please feel free to email me. Otherwise, we'll have it available probably mid to late next week on our YouTube channel. Typically is where you'll find them. Thanks again, and have a great week.